Along the way, confidence in our cycling abilities grew, and we soon tried a sharp corner by one of those fences with a camber on the track that fell away. Alas, this was not a good idea. First a wobble, and then a fall became inevitable. Mary disappeared off the falling bike into a ditch, her legs in the air. Thankfully, I managed to stay on the track and not to fall on top of her, and soon was able to rescue her like a knight in shining armour. With nothing damaged other than our pride, we continued on with a little more caution. We soon relaxed back into a cycling rhythm and continued to enjoy the experience of the countryside. As the kilometres slipped by, our legs tired, making every incline seem more like a mountain. But persistence and determination saw us through. Back at base, we made a hasty retreat to our rooms to shower and bathe those now tender rear parts, which anyone who cycles will understand only too well. And finally, like those fishermen's stories, we retreated to a restaurant where we could recount the successes of the day, and despite that little off-road incident, boast that yes, we had achieved what we had set out to do, and that we even dared for a bigger challenge next time. Medical encounters. Apart from sight difficulties, I have always enjoyed good health, for which I truly thank God. However, as with most of us, wear and tear eventually requires some little repair jobs. For me, this has meant a few short trips to hospital. These can be stressful enough for those who have their sight, but for those who are visually impaired, things like finding the correct department, filling in forms, and seeing who is who among the medical staff can pose difficulties, as the following examples will demonstrate. I was due in hospital for a day assessment and was given a lift by a friend on his way to work. He kindly took me through to the admissions area where we were met by a receptionist. On seeing me with my mobility cane in one hand and holding my friend's elbow with the other, she addressed my friend. "Does he need the lift?" Happening frequently, being spoken over in the third person like this is irritating, as though we are unable to speak for ourselves. So, resisting the temptation to respond somewhat curtly, and before my friend could answer, I interjected politely, "No, thank you, I can use the stairs quite easily." Completely caught off guard, and now embarrassed, and after getting me seated, the receptionist hurriedly excused herself. To recompose, I mused. However, she recovered quickly, and soon we chatted away with the faux pas forgotten. It is now my experience in such situations that if I am accompanied by a friend, the friend is seen as a parent or spouse, and therefore responsible to see me right through until I am handed over to medical staff. I have learned that the trick is to arrange for my friend to bring me to reception and then leave. A hospital porter is then summoned to guide me through to the correct area where a receptionist takes over. Form filling, otherwise expected of my friend, is now done by the receptionist prior to me being taken to the waiting area. The result of the day-care visit was the need for a small surgical intervention, which necessitated a pre-op assessment a few days before the real thing. On the assigned day, it transpired I would have to visit a number of different departments. On realizing that I could not navigate myself around a hospital, the atmosphere became rather frosty when the receptionist realized that she would have to escort me, as there was no one else to assist. However, as we took a little tour around the various areas, the frostiness melted, and we became the best of friends. She had become really interested in finding out more about visual impairment, my family, etc., and I about hers. During a long wait at one area, I asked if she was concerned about the prolonged absence from her desk, and if others would be waiting. "I left a note, so they can just wait," she responded. She was just enjoying the break from her desk and this chat. Then came admission day. This time I encouraged my friend to just leave me to reception, and everything worked fine from there through to theatre. Surrounded by an array of medical staff who I could not see, I just closed my eyes and answered their repeated questions, designed to ensure they had the right person, and carried out the procedure on the correct part of my body. My next awareness is drifting in and out of consciousness, the normal post-operative experience. Thankfully, I was in a single room, as opposed to a twin on a previous occasion. Then it was difficult to know if my roommate was asleep, awake, or reading, and when might be a good time to attempt conversation. Also, adjusting to the presence of a visually impaired person, like when I have to feel my way to the bathroom, might be disconcerting for another patient, especially if they had just undergone medical treatment. The next challenge was the number of staff coming into my room, some announcing who they were and others not. Shift changes and changing rosters among nurses, nursing assistants, care assistants, and domestic staff meant quite a variety of people coming through each day, none of whom I could see, let alone try to recognize by voice. It can be very disconcerting to be aware of somebody in the room unannounced and doing I know not what, and it can become quite tiresome wondering if each is aware of my lack of sight, or do I need to check, most definitely not seeking a sympathy vote, rather for practical survival. Without seeing body language, communication is more difficult, especially with multinational accents, sometimes lacking in full English fluency, in a medical situation where accuracy is important. For example, during the course of taking a blood sample, a phlebotomist said to me, "Put finger in." Without visual context, it took some effort to establish that she wanted me to place the finger of my opposite hand on the cotton swab she was holding on my other forearm. I hadn't felt her having reached that stage of the process and certainly couldn't see it. I am one of those people who really dislike ringing the call button to bother very busy nursing staff, and only do so in situations of significant need. For me, it becomes a little embarrassing to have to make that call for a simple visual need. Domestic staff kindly bring food, placing the tray on the bed trolley. Some delay long enough to realize I need a little help, like telling me what is on the tray and what is the layout. Do I need assistance with pouring tea? Some breeze through so fast that they are gone before I realize, and that's when I have to ring that bell. Some staff kindly stay for a chat, probably putting pressure on the work schedule, but nevertheless very much appreciated. Hospitals are very busy places, and these comments are not by any means a complaint, just observations from a visually impaired person's perspective. I truly am appreciative of the wonders of modern medical science and the standards of nursing care. Nevertheless, like most people, I hope future visits will be infrequent. Blind ombre head. Probably the most frequent topic of conversation, the weather, is an easy icebreaker. Winter 2017-18 and spring 2018 will certainly go down in the annals of Irish weather history and be the subject of conversations for many years to come. It will be especially remembered for storms Ophelia and Emma, the beast from the east, and generally for the prolonged period of low temperatures, snow, and rain. It had not relented until the dawning of 3 unexpected summer days in mid-April. Everybody sighed, "At last," and feelings of summer activities budded in our spirits like spring buds bursting forth on the trees. My urge was to take a walk up Bray Head, but could I get there alone? A solo journey I had not taken for 2 years, or one with company for almost a year. Friends who might have joined me were either at work or otherwise engaged. But I had a yearning, and I could not resist the temptation to respond. Having walked over the head many times over the past 30 years, the routes were firmly embedded in my memory. Now, with my sight severely diminished, would I get lost, fall in a hole, or have to turn back? Or would experience carry me through? The only way to find out was to try. Or was that being foolhardy? Only time would tell. Equipped with my mobility cane, the first half hour took me through familiar roads that offer little by way of pleasant surroundings.